In this episode of INN CEO Talks, on site at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, I'm joined by Joseph van den Elsen, the President and CEO of Pampa Metals. Joseph, welcome.
Good to be here.
Pampa Metals, tell me a little bit about it. Where do you have your projects and what exactly are you looking for?
Pampa Metals is an explorer focused on finding significant, large copper porphyry deposits in Chile, primarily along the Dimaco Belt. We hold a portfolio of 7 properties. We own our 7 properties outright, insofar as there's no residual asset payments or minimum expenditure commitments attached to them. We have 2 of those properties farmed out to Austral Gold. Austral Gold are earning into the Monos Blancos and Cerro Blanco properties. And the other 5 projects, we divide them into 2 categories, being priority projects or properties available for farm out. Our 2 priority projects are the Block 4 project and the Cerro Buenos Aires project. The Block 4 project is our most compelling target. We believe we've found a potentially significant discovery, and Cerro Buenos Aires is a property that we're looking to do some follow-up drilling on.
So give me the stages that you're at, right, your 2 most important projects right now. What's your inferred and known resources?
These are exploration properties,
Yeah.
so we're not at a resource stage yet. With respect to the Block 4 property, and specifically the Buenavista Target, we think we've found a significant anomaly that's of size, scale, and in the right location that is very compelling, and we look forward to drill testing that for the first time this year. So that is a maiden discovery. It hasn't been drilled historically. The body of work that we've done so far is magnetics, IP, trenching, soil sampling, age dating, and various surface mapping programs.
And you're in a pretty good neighborhood, aren't you?
We certainly are. Chile, as everyone's aware, produces about a quarter of global copper. The Dimaco Belt alone produces about 15% of global copper supply, and we're located along the Dimaco Belt for our core properties.
So there's other development in the area, and so you're able to then tap into that infrastructure.
So Chile is a very well developed jurisdiction, which also benefits from mountainous, arid topography, which allows for ready access to all the properties. So we're not talking about helicopter access, we're not talking about barging drill rigs down rivers, we're talking about major highways giving us good access to all our properties.
So where do you go from where you are right now, especially in your 2 major projects? What are the next steps, and what should investors be looking for from you in the next few months to this 2 quarters out?
So we've recently launched a capital raising, a private placement, which we announced last week. We're seeking to raise up to $3 million. We're pricing that at 15 cents with a 1-for-1 attaching 21-cent warrant. Those funds will be used for drilling the Block 4 target. We also have a provision in there for some due diligence on some other opportunities. So we're looking at becoming a bit more active with our portfolio, and where appropriate, we're going to look to bring in new assets to sort of build out the story and hopefully acquire some more advanced assets at the same time. So over the next 2 quarters, we would expect to drill Block 4 and potentially bring in, another asset.
Tell me a little bit about your team, your own background and your teams that makes, Pampa Metals a compelling story.
Pampa Metals was formed a few years ago. The key drivers of that transaction were Tim Beale. Tim Beale's our Vice President of Exploration. He's a British national, but lived down in between Peru, Chile and Argentina for about 20 years. Very familiar with porphyry deposits in that part of the world. 20 odd years with Rio Tinto, 10 odd years with Anglo, and he's been the Vice President of Exploration and formerly a Director of Pampa since its inception. He was the one that effectively identified these assets and brought them into the company. He's been supported by Adrian Manger. Adrian is our chairman. Adrian's an Australian national, long-time resident in Chile, spent a long time down there with BHP. The other director is Julian Balvin. He's British national, long-term resident in Chile also. He spent 25 odd years, or if not longer, with Rio Tinto. And myself, I joined as the president and CEO in October. I'm Australian, and I came about this opportunity, I guess, given my previous experiences dealing in Latin America, and also my familiarity with capital markets. I'd previously worked at Goldman Sachs, UBS, and a number of different juniors over the last 10 years. And I think the opportunity here was very much in shaking things up a little bit. Pampa's been around for a few years now, and probably in need a bit of a refresh from a branding perspective and also from a business strategy perspective, and that was the premise upon which I joined the company.
You also come into this at a time when we're seeing a focus on copper mine development accelerating. The need for copper is becoming more and more apparent. What's your take on where we're at over the next 5 to 7 years on the demand for copper globally, but also specifically in the US and into Europe?
So our focus as an explorer is to find significant size copper deposits, and we, I guess, look at it from a macro holistic view and say we're very comfortable with the long-term outlook for copper and also Chilean copper specifically. As we're all aware, Chile is a significant supplier of copper, 25% and the Damasco Belt alone produces more copper than Peru, which is the number 2 supplier globally. So we are of the view that we're operating in the right jurisdiction and we're focusing the right commodity. Our role is not going to be in monetising or developing copper projects. Our focus is on finding things of size and scale and seeking to drive shareholder returns through discovery. So if we find something significant along our locations, we think that would be very attractive to a number of logical third-party buyers, and that would be our monetisation strategy for our shareholders.
So what is your strategy to attract that attention from the majors that would need to come in and either you would vend into them or do some kind of partnership with them?
We have had ongoing discussions with a number of majors, all of whom have significant presences in Chile, and it's simply a case of us now delivering with results, and results will flow through into interest. So the strategy really is to show that we're capable of defining and then ultimately proving deposits in Chile, and we would expect the commercial interest would follow from there.
So one of the interesting things is for anybody who's looking at investments, they're going, okay, why now? What is the particular advantage that I will gain as an investor in investing in Pampa Metals at this time?
So if we look at the Pampa business case today, we think we're raising money under this private placement at an entry-level price, being 15 cents a share. We're talking about 53 million shares on issue, so it's still a tight capital structure with a attaching 21-cent warrant. So from a valuation perspective, we think it's compelling and it's entry level. The benefit incoming investors have now is that we have drill-ready targets, and subject to this funding coming in, we're going to be drilling straight away. So we're talking about a proposition whereby years have gone into the study and evaluation of our properties, and entry-level pricing, but with the benefit of a couple of years' history and solid news flow through drilling and also potential acquisitions.
So nice upside there.
I certainly hope so.
Over the next couple of months, what do you want investors to be looking for as far as an information flow from you?
So we're in the process of a bit of a rebranding exercise, whereby we're looking to refine our messaging to the market and to show a more aggressive approach to exploration and portfolio optimisation. We expect that will flow through to news flow around potential joint ventures, asset acquisitions, things of that nature. But I'd say the real interesting component or the real driver is going to be around drilling results from Block 4, which we'd expect to be drilling as soon as funding is secured under this private placement.
So somewhere in the next quarter or two, we should see some news from you.
I would expect multiple sources of news flow from drilling results and also acquisitions over the next sort of quarter or two.
Pretty exciting time right now in the space that you're in, the neighborhood that you're in, and the role that your company plays in that whole ecosystem of finding and then ultimately leading to the development of a mine.
Yes, although I do stress we are explorers focused on exploration and would see the role of development as being something for someone else. But,
and I agree with you, but every now and then you get somebody who goes, oh, well, you're a junior mining company, but we undervalue the role that junior mining companies play in mine development. Without you, we don't find these deposits and we don't realize them, and we need this precious metal now.
I was reading recently that the average discovery has had 2.5 owners previously, and I think that's testament to the fact that you do need an active and buoyant exploration market in order to find discoveries. We're all aware of the pending supply deficits of copper and the long lead time that it takes to bring on new production. So we think there's a good backdrop to support our efforts to raise capital and aggressively explore in a premier copper jurisdiction.
Well, I wish you great success. I think the entire world that wants to move towards an electrification of transportation for sure, but anything else, we need copper. So I wish you great success.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time today.